Let me hold it up.
Okay.
Yeah, no, let me hold it up, huh?
Let me know when you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Paul, would you like to lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry.
Is that you? That's exciting.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and the Atlantic County Record on January the 15th, 2020. Mr. Kane?
Here.
Mr. Bouchard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mr. Vitale?
Here.
Mayor Schenker?
Here. Can we have a moment of silence for private reflection? Thank you. We have no guest presentation, no proclamations. Number one, additions and deletions of late agenda items to be considered for action tonight. We have 3A. It's authorizing to use temporary sheltering by non-essential businesses in compliance with the Governor's Executive Order 108, Administrative Order 2020-8, issued by the New Jersey State Police and first responders and emergency services personnel. Committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. I'd just like to make a comment real quickly. For those of you who are watching on YouTube or streaming this live, there's actually about a 30-second delay. So if you want to call in or something like that, you should. The best way to do this is to stream it live, turn it down, and then call in on your phone so you can hear it in live time. We're going to move on to early public comment. Lisa, do we have anybody who?
There was no one on the call.
Okay, do you want to wait? Do we want to wait for about 30 seconds before we move on? Okay. So anybody who would like to call in for early public comment, please do so as quickly as possible.
So 30 seconds now.
30 seconds, all right. So we'll move on. Okay, we'll move on. Let's move on to discussions. 3A would be the first thing to be discussed, just for information, so everybody understands what's happening here. This resolution is basically due to the fact that there was an executive order signed by the mayor of Atlantic City, where he has made it so no COVID-19 people who are homeless can be housed in his city, even though they come from his city. So, along with Hamilton Township and many other towns, we are passing resolutions to pretty much say the same thing until they figure this out. I'm sure some of you may have seen it in the news or whatever, but this is some more growing pains as this COVID-19 thing goes on. Arch, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think the most important thing, as we've seen in Atlantic City, did it through executive order by the mayor, and Galloway did basically the same thing through a manager's order, which in that form of government is the chief executive. In this form, because it's a combined authority of the committee, I thought it was best that we do this by resolution as a whole, and I think this, from a public safety standpoint, our chief is aboard with this, prevents these a transient population or being placed in by outside groups into our motels and hotels,
Right.
and I think this is a very good thing for us to do.
Okay. Just so we're clear, we know of nobody who's been placed in Hamilton Township as of yet. So this is just more precautionary and being able to get control of the situation before it gets out of hand. So there's a resolution.
I think it's smart and necessary legislation.
Committee?
But I'll make the motion to approve that resolution.
I'll second it.
3A.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Excuse me. We'll move on to, we have no public hearings tonight. Number 5, introduction of ordinances. Public hearings on these ordinances will be held May 4th, 2020. A, ordinance 1926-2020, an ordinance authorizing a tax agreement between Clayton's Self-Storage at Mays Landing and the Township of Hamilton, providing for a 5-year exemption of taxation and payment in lieu of taxes regarding construction project described herein, located on Block 991 and Lot 3.01.
This is essentially them adding another building at their current location, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Which has been completed, and now they are
Applying for
applying for it under the rehabilitation. Which
They're a
is
great family. They've jumped
They
through
are.
all the hoops, and I think it's good that they're getting this.
yeah. So, it put some folks to work in building the place, and now, I'm sure they'll have a few employees. But this is the whole reasoning for what we're doing here.
And I guess, just for the clarification with the public, the abatement is only on the improvements that were done, the additional building, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
that's correct. I'm going to elaborate on it. Just if you'd like to speak on it, this is a public hearing. If you'd like to speak, please call in now, and I'll give a little more overview. The addition that they did was just south of $100,000, and they are going to be able to get a reduction on those on the value, the taxes on that value, for the next 5 years. Starting, they'll pay 20% of it, 40%, and so on and so forth, until in the 5th year, 6th year, they will pay 100% of the taxes that are for that improvement. So,
$100,000 is based on what it actually cost them, or the value of the
Yes.
property now that the changes have been made.
yes,
What
it's
cost?
based on the evaluation of what it is, yes. Lisa, anybody want to speak?
Callers at this time, do you want to wait 30 seconds?
We can wait another 30 seconds.
It's introduction.
Hmm?
It's not a public hearing, it's introduction.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm absolutely, that's my bad. So introduction, committee?
I'll make a
move.
motion to introduce ordinance 1926, 2020.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions. Rita, can we do a roll call on this, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and introduced.
Thank you. 6, awards, bids, contracts, and change orders. A is a resolution authorizing an option year 1 extension of the contract for dog warden and general animal control officer services with Animal Control of South Jersey for the period of 5/1/20 to 4/30/21. amount not to exceed $26,400.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Gishard had a question regarding their services. I confirm with the police chief that this is a very good company that they work with and very satisfied with the services and is pleased with the extension.
Okay.
Good to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most important thing with this type of service. Committee,
I'll move 6A.
I'll second it.
we have a motion, we have a second. All those, excuse me, are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, could you give me a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Patali?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. B, resolution awarding bid 2019-04 contract for the Alfred Lundy Community Center ADA improvements to Landberg Construction LLC for the amount not to exceed $39,821.
It's been a long time coming on this.
Yes, it is.
It has.
I'll move 6B.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Arch, my only question is, there was two separate things that we were doing out there. One was the parking lot, one was the doors.
The doors are there was a delay, and actually, we were waiting for the architect on the doors. This is just the parking lot. We are pushing for, if we don't have a response from the architect, probably within the next couple days, then we're going to have to get a different person. But this is, just understand that this is also tied into Resolution 7K in the sense that this is CDBG funding.
Right.
And we have to pass K to place the CDBG money into the budget so this can be funded. Secondly, there's a cancellation on under 7E for the CDBG grant to cancel part of funds from the old grant to also move the money over to this project. So there's little moving parts here that we're doing.
Right.
But it does get the money into the budget
Right.
and you can award this.
So this is, so everybody understands, this money has been accumulating over a couple years when we first started talking.
This is out of 18, I think, CDBG funds.
Yes.
And the problem with CDBG funds, they run years behind and with projects and so forth.
Right.
But this is ready to go.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. Questions? Rita, could we do a roll call on this also, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Patali?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. C, resolution amending Resolution 2020-0107, authorizing the extension of bid 2015-2 solid waste collection services contract to Waste Management of New Jersey Incorporated for the period of 5/1/20, 6/30/20, not to exceed $130,000. So this is our second extension on this waste contract. And Archie, you want to elaborate on this
Yeah,
a
this
little
is,
bit?
actually, this is the extension after it was determined that the bid itself or the process may have been compromised in the way it was done in compliance with DEP regulations. We are going to discuss that with Mr. Sandman in executive session.
Okay, very good. Committee,
I'll make that resolution.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
I just want to express my disappointment that it's taken this long to get this done.
Absolutely.
But I feel comfortable with Arch's leadership that we'll get it done right this time.
Yes, it's important that it's done correctly, and I share your sentiments. Rita, can we do a roll call vote on this, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Patali?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. D, resolution to grant Land Resources Solution LLC 3-year extension on a landfill redevelopment agreement. So this is something that's been going on for quite some time. It sounds like from what I've read here that this is, they're looking at having this completed with inside of this extension. Is that, do you agree?
That is my understanding, and basically, DEP is not authorizing disbursement. They want further review of the. I will tell you from my experience in these projects, with landfill projects,
Yeah.
I've seen them go on for, I know this one's probably a decade old.
It is, yeah.
There are numerous problems you run into.
Yep.
There are hot spots that they come across. There may be booms that have driven. So this is not unusual that you run into these. Sure. They're difficult projects, but I'm confident that we can attempt to get it done within the next 3 years, but I would never put my money on it.
Well, it's just nice to see that the completion date is in 2022, so, you know, but yes,
Jeff,
I agree.
I saw some emails back and forth, and Jeff said if we have any questions, feel free to call him right now. He says he's waiting by the phone.
Okay.
I think he's got a handle on it. I've been back and forth with him with a couple of questions with concerns of people that live out that way, and you know, he would have been here if not for the situation that we're
Yeah,
in.
that's fine. Sure.
Is there any way to speed this up?
There.
I don't think so.
The answer is no.
Bob, you can handle that one. I mean,
The
you
answer is
gotta-
no. I will tell you this, though, Rodney. Jeff and his predecessor in this corporation have been dealing with this project at least 12 years. They've invested time, money. They have a design. And as Art says, these things go through unknowns.
Yes.
And every time you pick a shovel and you find something, it's an unknown. And the location of the line onto other adjacent lots became known a few years ago and has to be rectified. So there's no way to. If it comes to fruition, it's a good thing for the township,
Yes.
because it takes a landfill off our hands and makes it productive in terms of solar. But there's no way that I'm aware of to make the process any faster.
Yeah, I want to make it clear, it's not from lack of trying.
That's for sure.
It has been a project that we all like to see finished, but, you know, unfortunately, every time you turn a page with it, something else comes up, so. Committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll move 60.
Second.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second. Any questions? Hearing no questions. Rita, can you give me you know what, we can do this by voice vote.
No.
You want a roll call?
I do.
Okay. Rita?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carry.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Could you please remove 7K?
Yeah.
That's a temporary budget. On the temporary budget, as we discussed earlier, that's need a super majority on the emergency temporary, and we need to move this that way.
All right. E's okay? All right.
I'll make a motion to remove approve items A through O,
With the
With
exception.
the
with the
exception.
exception of K, yeah.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We'll move to 7K, resolution for a temporary budget amendment. I believe administrators already explained that situation as far as moving money. Committee?
I'll make a motion to approve that also.
Second it.
We have a motion, we have a second. Are there any questions? You need a roll call for that?
You do.
Yes.
Could you give me a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carry.
Thank you. We have nothing under personnel. Number 9, approvals, minutes of April 6, 2020 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. B, minutes of the April 6, 2020 executive session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. C, bills. Bill list total $1,729,144.03.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. We move on to reports. Mr. Administrator.
Just real quick, something I find kind of exciting is if you check up on our website, we've gotten out the RFP for the American Legion redevelopment area. It's being advertised. We are soliciting proposals that we can potentially do something with that structure and that property. So that, to me, that's exciting because we're getting a little bit of movement out there on redevelopment, and it's going to work as a kind of a model for future projects. Moving, that we can do this, and we've actually included a redevelopment plan on the website. So it's try to push it around town if you can, so we can get some proposals and move forward.
That's
all I have.
another one that's been years.
Yeah. And this is, another part of the redevelopment that's been opened up. We put this legislation in, it's going to help us with this. It gives us a lot more tools to work with and be able to bring people in, and that's just another good part of what's been happening here. And again, if something happens and we can get a developer in here to do something with it, it'll be that much better. So, anybody have any questions for the administrator? If not, is anything else, Arch?
No, that's all I have for
Thank
my
you.
report.
Mr. Solicitor.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Mr. Engineer is not here.
He advised me that he has nothing to report.
Thank you. We'll move on to Township Committee members. Carl?
I'd like to say, once again, that the work of our township, the public works and emergency management, everybody here has been top-notch, incredible. One of the things I learned was going out and getting that fogging machine and for lack of a better term, I guess the chemical or whatever it is, the fogger, getting that, and now we're doing it on our own. We're not having somebody else come in and do that. That's saving us a lot of money. And you see the workings of public works with the guys at the fire department, with the guys in the police department. It's amazing. They do a really great job. Can't say enough about it. I spoke with Steve Filippone on Friday about the dam. I had some ideas with the dam, and I spoke with him about it. When it comes to the point of actually designing the dam and what it's going to look like and everything, I had some ideas of trying to make it a focal point for the town. Dress it up, not just some dam, and one of the things I thought about was maybe a walkway on the one side to go out with maybe a small pier into the lake. You could fish there. You could put benches there. It would be a nice spot at one end of Main Street, and you could walk right on down to the other end of Main Street. It'd be kind of like a destination spot. Also, maybe do something with some lighting behind the waterfall itself. Just kind of make it like a focal point where the bridge that's getting done has 6-foot wide sidewalks on both sides. So people can be walking along there. They'll be fishing there, I'm sure. And I just think it would be something to kind of dress things up instead of just having this dam with a spillway. Of course, it's going to cost more money, but I think it'll be a focal point for our town. He did say that in about a month, WSP will be at a point where we could interject that. So after I got off the phone with Steve, he was on the phone with the county and then called me right back and said, within a month, we'll get together with them and kind of bounce these ideas off of them so that they can, hey, here's some ideas that we want to look at and see if it's possible, see what it will cost, see what it'll do. here's the opportunity to do it. If we come through and we look at it, we say, wow, it's gonna be another $1 million. Well, then, yeah, okay, maybe we don't do that.
Right.
But let's look at it and see what it looks like.
I think it's an exceptional idea. And I've been involved in some parks where I've done things like that with the bridges or with, actually I was involved with a park in Hoboken, we actually put out in the Hudson River. It's very exciting in the sense that it does become a focal point. And if it's $1 million, sometimes you have to look at that over a 100-year or 75-year period that this community is going to exist. And it brings people in. I think, and we can look at some Green Acres funding potentially for that.
There was, Arch, there was, 10 years ago or 9 years ago when I was on committee, we worked on a plan across the street where they built that house. And we had signed agreements for purchasing the property, and we did it all through a grant that was designed, it was a foundation, and the grant was designed to preserve waterfront for township residents. And I'm sure if that plan, if we went back through the minutes, because we worked on that for, I want to say, 8 months, 9 months, and then unfortunately we lost one of the sale agreements, and the whole thing fell apart. But they paid for the design of it. They're paying for all the documents to be written up.
Some conservancy groups can-
100%
Great idea.
grant money. So
Yep.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, that's and what better time to do it than now? So
Yeah, now's the time to do it. It's, afterwards, it's too late then. So something I want to try to stay on top of. Steve was very excited about it. Like I said, he jumped on the phone, called the county right away. So we're on top of it, and we're gonna stay with it and hopefully come up with some ideas.
ask Steve about it. He might remember what the foundation was, and again, it was just you could only use the money to preserve waterfront for township residents. So.
And then going forward with the whole COVID-19 and what's going on with the state and shutting things down and state parks, county parks, and then they kind of left township parks up to us. Ours are shut down. I talked to Arch, I talked to Chief Simbrone, and you start talking, you start thinking, man, I'd really like to open these parks up and get people out. And then you start hearing when you start talking back and forth, you start saying, wow, I didn't think about that. But I think one park that I would like to see opened is War Memorial Park in the middle of town. It's a passive park. It's not like people are going to go down there and try to start up a basketball game or a softball game. It's a passive park. I'm not saying we do it right now. Let's wait another week or two and see where we're at. Talking about opening the other parks, Underhill, the soccer field, stuff like that. If we're the only township in the area to do this, then everybody's going to come down here. It's going to be very hard to keep an eye on things. Before you know it, people are planning softball games, and that's not, we're really not allowed to do that. And I think that'll be a lot of pressure. And I'm the first one to say, we're supposed to be a free country, and some of these things are a little overbearing, I think. But like I said, when you start looking at the other things that come along with it, with trying to open things up, it's a lot of work, and it's not as easy as everybody thinks. So we're looking at it. Like I said, I talked to Arch, talked to the chief. We're getting there, and we'll revisit it again probably in a week, or like I said, maybe 2 weeks. Just now, I don't think is the time. And that's all I got.
But regarding those grants, I wonder if the grants could apply to the lighthouse. There's another icon that the community would like to see.
Yeah, the Lighthouse Committee, our group have been looking into it, and then that group kind of died off a little bit. We'll bring it back. It's, here's another thing where, this whole COVID thing is just, it's putting so many things on the back burner, which is a shame. We can't have meetings, we can't get together and talk about what are we going to do with the lighthouse. But, looking into grants on that, and then that just kind of fell to the wayside. But I'm not giving up on that either. I know you don't. I don't think anybody wants to give up on the lighthouse. I mean, we're going to do this work here that I said with the dam, it would really stink if the lighthouse isn't down there anymore to look at. So that would kind of kill it.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. John?
I believe that grant, Charles, was the Geraldine R. Ford grant, and I think the Historical Commission had a lot of information on that. Yeah.
The Geraldine R. Ford was the one for the hometown plan. That was
Yeah,
the
the
money for
plan,
that. But this was a separate one, and I'm
it the Pell-
searching my
Pell-
memory, and I thought it was
Pell Grant, or there were several of them that came up during that time to help us out down there. Yeah. But that's a great idea to try to get some grant money for that project. That would be great. I can imagine. I just really wanted to say thank you to our staff, Art, Arch, and Lisa and Steve, getting this information out in this situation like this to the public and handling all this technical stuff we got to go through to make that happen. And the conference calls, even though the committee can't speak, you get to hear a heads up from the department heads, and that's so important. If you hear something that you think you need to comment on, you can get back to the administrator, and I think all that works well, and good job, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, John. Charles?
I'll just echo the same sentiments of the other committeemen. It is a shame that the public doesn't get a chance to see how the sausage is made and how closely the department heads do work together and communicate and really take care of this township. And it is appreciated. And again, my hearts and prayers go out to everyone that's suffering with this. And you know, at some point we'll come out the other side and we'll see what the new norm is, and we'll deal with it. But right now we got to deal with what we're dealing with, and I just wish everyone well.
Brandon?
I was surprised to learn that bicycles have increased in popularity as a result of this situation. So I guess we need to think about how we might accommodate an increase in bicycles if that happens. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Rodney. I'd like to echo, you know, I've been working with Arch and Chief Sambrone, seems like almost every day. These issues come up and we have to deal with them. This resolution we passed tonight was just the latest. You have to stay ahead of this kind of stuff. And I hope that we explained it well enough for folks to understand. If not, feel free to reach out to me or Arch, and we can explain it to you a little more in depth. We're dealing with everything that happens day by day by day, and Arch and the rest of township the township workers, public works, everyone in these buildings, the police department, fire department, our ambulance squad, emergency responders, they're just doing a great job, and they're on top of all of this. They're prepared every day. And on all these calls, we're not just talking about what happened today, we're talking about what's going to happen in the next few days, or what could happen. So the preparedness of everybody has been off the charts, and I really appreciate it. It's very impressive. So a couple weeks ago, I sat in this chair and I said to everybody that if anyone's in trouble, anybody needs help, no matter what it is, please reach out to us. Please let us know. If you need a hand in any way, shape, or form, please let us know. There's a lot of folks out there that want to help. There's a lot of folks out in our community that are volunteering and trying to help out their neighbors. And if we can be conduit to help that happen, to make sure that everybody's doing all right, please let us know, and we will do everything we can to put the pieces in place so everybody's going to be all right. With I would like to open it up to public comment. We'll wait a little bit.
Mr. Mayor, we don't have anyone on the call right now, so can we wait about a minute? Because we need 30 seconds for people to hear what you just said on
Yep.
YouTube.
That's fine.
And 30 seconds for them to call.
Okay, so we're going to just sit back for a minute. We'll play a little dentist office music for you.
While we're waiting, I'd just like to recognize the fact that a township resident, Barry Schrager, passed this past week. He was in the aviation area and he traveled around the world, did a lot for aviation safety. He's a Fairview resident.
Sorry to hear that. Do we have the number? Is the number, it's on the website, I believe.
Want me to hold it up?
Could you? Just want to make sure if anybody wants to call in that they have the opportunity to do so.
There we go.
This is all very new to us, just like it is to you. You want to read it out there?
Sure. 1-877-309-2073. And then the access code 146-624-485. And then the pound sign. So, I had it up here before. Got it?
So we'll give it a couple more, we'll give it a minute or so, just so everybody has the opportunity. If you get nobody, then we'll move on.
I think Arch is trying to call in.
I'm testing the system. I want to see if it works.
We do have someone calling.
Okay,
It's Arch. It's Arch.
this is exciting.
This is exciting. It worked.
It was Arch.
Hold
calling.
on.
I tested the system. It worked.
Was that you?
Yeah, that was me. I wanted to test it, make
Oh,
sure.
it works.
We confirmed that it works. It works. Yeah, it
Okay.
works.
All right, so we have no one calling in?
It's been 2.5 minutes.
Okay, thank
Move to
you.
close the public portion.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to close the public portion. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. We want to adjourn to executive session where we'll discuss the solid waste bid, attorney-client privilege.
And I wanted just a reference to some collective bargaining issues and contracts.
Okay. We need a motion to go into public, or excuse me.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Second,
Motion is second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Be it resolved into an executive session to discuss the following matters which are exempt from public discussion pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law: collective bargaining, solid waste contract. For the solid waste contract, it's attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved that the governing body may reconvene in public session and confirm the results of the executive session if there is a majority consensus for action to be taken on the matter tonight. Be it further resolved that the results of said executive session shall be made known as soon as the basis for confidentiality is no longer confidential. Okay, I'm not recording. Are we off? Off?
We're off.
Was there a motion made to go into executive?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve, is that camera off? Yes, sir. Why is it red? Why is the red light on?
So Steve, we just need to get Evan on the phone? Yes. Can I just call him on the regular phone, or do you need to do it on the?
I would use that phone.
All right. Oh, let me, oh, I didn't write down the time. All right. 7:10.
Only matters that were discussed in executive session were those that were announced, the minutes of which will be made available in the matter of no longer confidential. We're back in the open session right now. There has been a check in the hallway and out in front. And the atrium, to see if there were any public that wanted to attend. The answer is no. Lisa, have you gotten any contact from anybody from the public with respect to reopening the meeting?
No, the call was not live.
Okay.
And I've confirmed.
You may proceed.
We're live? Okay.
Yes.
Rita?
Whereas on February the 6th, 2020, the Township of Hamilton advertised that it would be accepting bid proposals with respect to the collection and removal of solid waste in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey. And whereas 6 companies took delivery of the bid package consisting of bidding instructions and bid specifications, proposed contracts, etc. And whereas some of the companies that took delivery of the advertisement for bids and related documents posed questions of representatives of the Township of Hamilton, and whereas in the course of reviewing the bid documents, it was the advice of council that the bid documents do not in all aspects comply with law. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, that on this 20th day of April 2020, a majority of the Township Committee approved this resolution directing that the advertisement to bid be canceled and hereby withdrawn, and that the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey will take no further action with respect to the aforementioned advertisement for bids as it relates to the collection of solid waste in the Township of Hamilton. We need a motion and a second.
I'll move it.
Second,
We have a motion and second for the resolution. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, roll call. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Do we have to open a public, or do we just?
It's
You
open
already
to the
are, you
public.
just
We
gotta-
just adjourned the meeting now. Need a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? The ayes have it. Good night.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks, Bob.